First of all, I'd like to again commend Deputy O'Sullivan for presenting this private member's bill this evening, and to say I was delighted to sign up to it with the Independents for Change. I welcome the NGOs and volunteers and activists in the gallery. I think it reflects the interest and concern people have in animal welfare and health. Minister, there's an expression that a society is judged by how it treats and supports and protects the vulnerable in society. I also believe that society should be judged by how it treats and respects animals who are vulnerable and who are in the care of society. Now I have serious questions on how the government has responded to the housing crisis, where we have 3,000 children in homes, in hotels and the hostels. And I also think, as an opposition TD, that we should also challenge the government's policy on the animal health and welfare bill that was introduced. In relation to hare coursing, it's already been mentioned about the coursing trials that were taking place there in September, where the amount of 130 trials were taking place, but using only 64 hares. That's against the Animal Health and Welfare Bill. We know of people taking the hares as they're released after coursing, and then collected and sold back again in the interest of profit there as well. So we know there's many areas where in the hare coursing that there is serious problems, and people using or breaking the animal welfare bill itself. And I think that if the government deems hare coursing worthy of licensing, we maintain it should be consistent and ensure that all coursing fixtures and all coursing are subject to MP, National Park and Wildlife Services monitoring. When monitors are not present, coursing clubs will and has shown repeatedly over the years be tempted to act in breach of the licence conditions. If the state lacks the manpower or the commitment to monitor all of these animal baiting events, it should stop licensing them and simply outlaw hare coursing, an option favoured by the majority of Irish people, according to opinion polls. I want to take up the point about animals being exported from Ireland. The Guardian did a very detailed examination of this back in May 2017, this year, where it showed evidence of animals who had been exported, been cruelly treated from the point of view of the welfare. It wasn't criticising the fact that the animals were being exported and how they were exported on the ships. It was where they ended up, often outside of European laws, and how they were treated. Absolutely disgusting in relation to their throats being slit, animals being hung by one leg and slaughtered while they were alive. Some of the conditions they were in relation to no water, food, and conditions in the transport of these animals. And I think what we want to hear, and what people that are concerned about animal welfare, is that there is absolutely real transparency that any country where animals are being exported, that they should be very clear that those animal welfare legislation in those countries is of high quality as well, and that wherever those animals are being transported to, that they should be respected in the same way as they would be respected here, even though there's a huge question mark about how we actually use animals. The last point I want to make is in relation to the ISPCA. We've been contacted by the ISPCA. They say that they welcome, and as we welcome the bill that came in 2014. But what they're saying is that the prosecutions themselves are too little. They don't serve to actually create a deterrent to those who are cruel to animals. Up to €5,000 is the fine in relation to cases dealt by the District Court, up to 6 months imprisonment, or in the Circuit Court it's up to €250,000, up to 5 years. Now, the report there, the 2016 report of the ASPCA, gives a few examples of the case that went to court. All of them fined 500, ordered to pay 715 costs, fined 500, disqualified. Only one case disqualified for keeping dogs for 2 years. And what should be done, Minister, that anybody who's prosecuted in the courts in relation to cruelty for animals, they should, every single of them should be attached with disqualification for keeping animals for at least 5 years. It should be not a maximum of 5,000. It should be probably a minimum of 4,000 or 5,000 euro for people who are found to be cruel to animals. Some of the cruelty that these animals, that the RSPCA dealt with, is absolutely horrific, and these people shouldn't be allowed keep animals in any shape or form over the next period of time. They want more resources. They want more officers on the ground. That should be done. If you can't implement that, if you can't provide that, well, then it's making a mockery of that legislation. I really think that the Minister should deal with that and maybe come back in relation to how you intend to increase the amount of officers in that area to deal with the issues.